Hey everyone, welcome to another typology interview. We have 4 ESTJs here. So let's go around and introduce yourselves really quick. They were all on my channel for a personal interview, and we're just going to compare them today and contrast. So I guess we'll go in order of how you appear. So Heather.
Yeah, hey, I'm Heather, double masculine TESI, blast, play, sleep, consume.
Right, hi, my name is Kim. I am double masculine, TESI, blast, play, consume, sleep.
All right,
yeah. You can tell your demon identity because like there's no identity thing here.
Yeah, it's awkward to talk about that.
Right.
Very awkward. It's even awkward to say my name. It's weird. Charlie.
Is it?
Double feminine. I was type blast, sleep, consume, play, but we were talking before that people who know me personally and who know the system now after 2 years, nobody believes I'm play, and I don't feel play. So we're going to blast, sleep, play, consume, because I definitely have a consume demon issue for sure. And I enjoy sleep processing time on some level.
And I'm Katie. I'm double feminine, TESI, blast, sleep, consume, play.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess we're going to compare and contrast a little bit, but I wanted to start with maybe debunking some stereotypes or confirming some stereotypes. So I like ESTJs are really underrepresented, I think, in the community and in typology in general. So maybe Heather, you can start with some stereotypes and then we'll keep going that you know of.
That's the problem. I don't know. I didn't realize there were all these stereotypes about the ESTJ.
There's stereotypes about everyone. Yeah.
CEO, head of the company, whatever that is.
Right.
You know, the big adult in the room, and I'm like, I feel a little bit far from that. I definitely think that when we watched the Ed Sheeran, the whole video with Ed Sheeran, how he definitely did not seem like your stereotypical ESTJ, and that really threw a lot of us. And in Enneagram, we have the ability to have what we call counter types. So like I'm a counter type to the 7. And so I don't look exactly like a 7. I actually move against the passion of that. And so sometimes maybe there's some of us that don't necessarily look like your typical ESTJ or whatever it is that we're supposed to look like. Maybe the others can chime in on that. So when I read the stereotypes, I'm like, oh, am I an ESTJ? Because that doesn't quite fit. But definitely doing the math, it totally fits.
Very good. Kim, are you aware of any stereotypes for ESTJ or?
Yes. Like type A, belligerent, bossy, controlling, like needing everything to be orderly, organized. Like especially in terms of like the organizational stuff, it's like I don't relate to that at all. Like in terms of having everything to be orderly, because it's like everyone around me is like, you're a mess. Like most people around me, it's like you run all over the place, like you're a mess. You can barely like keep anything organized. And it's like, oh yeah, I kind of go against that. But some of the things I'd say are true to a certain extent. It's like, yeah, at times like the bulldozer stuff can be true. I think it depends on the situation that the ESTJ is in itself, or maybe it could be a case of like 50 things go wrong and it's just this one minor inconvenience that is like, all right, here we go, I'm about to go off, like everything isn't going right. Or it's like we're tough on people that we care about, and people mistake that tough love like often for like being belligerent.
Right. I wonder if Heather, you relate to a couple of those stereotypes as being also double masculine.
I mean, I definitely can understand and see where the tough love, I've definitely have had to learn that that's not always loving. So learning to how to kind of scale that back and to actually love the person the way that they need to be loved, but definitely, yeah, I can see that. I don't know that I've ever been called belligerent or some of the other things. I'm a little bit too kind of goofy and, you know, to kind of fall into that.
Yeah, no, it's good. We're debunking some. How about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I had some familiarity with just personality of Myers-Briggs before I got into OP a couple years ago, and to me, the stereotype that the ESTJ was always like the Fox News or CNN anchor, like Bill O'Reilly or somebody like that, just taking someone to task on an interview, just that, and a lot of those guys will type like ESTJ, that kind of thing. And so I know when wanted my result, there were two types I did not want to get back. It was ESTJ and ISTJ, which is basically my type and subtype.
Right.
And I remember thinking, I will take whatever. I'll be happy with whatever, like it matters, right? I'll be happy with whatever except for those two. And because I guess because of I don't view myself as being like that belligerent type of talk show host or whatever. But that was kind of the stereotype to me that I have in my mind beforehand.
How about you, Katie?
Yeah, there were a lot of stereotypes I'd run into. I was in a lot of the like Myers-Briggs Facebook groups for years, kind of bouncing around trying to find where I fit, and did not stay in the ESTJ group very long.
Right.
I am not that pushy, and they had a reputation for valuing things over people, and I don't relate to that. I care very much about the people around me and how they're taking what I'm saying. There was a huge focus on the extroversion, which I really don't relate to. I was one of the most introverted people in my friends group growing up. So there was a lot there that, a lot like Charlie, I was really hoping that wasn't me. I can't read those descriptions and feel good about myself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's also true. It's like because of the demon identity as well, those stereotypes might be like telling you who you are rather than you telling them who you are. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was really hard to shake out of. So once I found OP and could like construct a different idea of what ESTJ is just based on their definition of the functions, I just don't leave there because I can understand myself that way and I don't have to struggle as much against those stereotypes.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. I got a couple here and I'm sure they're all mostly not true. I got stingy. Like it feels like all of the bad stuff they just throw on the ESTJs, and you guys are awesome. So it's like stingy, bossy, boring, strict, paranoid, bullies, conservative, do not question, critical, and direct. I guess direct might be a little bit true, but
that can be direct.
All of the others are like, yeah, it's like, why are people so cruel?
Yeah, right.
What the heck? Yeah.
I think all of those could be true if with a really unhealthy type of ESTJ or on our bad days. I mean, I think I can be all those things. Stingy. I mean, I'm kind of cheap. I don't spend a lot of money. I mean,
really?
I'm not the spender in my marriage. You know, EP wife's the spender. So you know,
I'm the spender.
there you go. See, that's not the case. So, you know, I can kind of see some of them, but
yeah.
The stereotype of that, I guess, it is like the kind of like someone that no one really wants to be friends with.
Yeah, I know. Like, so this is great. So we know what ESTPs are not. They're not those things. So let's talk about what you guys are. So maybe let's start first with the TE. We've got an even split here on feminine TE and masculine TE. So maybe let's start a little bit in reverse here. So Katie, tell us a little bit how feminine TE comes out for you.
With feminine TE, I feel like I do a lot of taking in where other people are standing. Like a lot of that gathering of the reasons is somewhat passive. I'm just really trying to understand each person's own understanding of the world. And when I interact with a person, I try to approach them based on their understanding of the world. Mm-hmm. I don't try to approach them based on what I think is true. I deal with, well, here's what they think is true about the world, and I try to build up from there. And I feel pretty flexible about that. I can take whatever it is that their starting place is.
Wow. Yeah. And what about coming up with reasons or I don't know. They say there's like
I can be really good at that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, and even in a very practical sense, I've taught math a few times to different age groups, and there's more than one way to solve a math problem. There's more than one way to think about it. And some ways are just come easier to people than other ways. And I can sit there and try to help them reason through it in more than one way until I find the way that just makes sense to them. And then they can just run with that.
Oh, wow. That's really useful. That's awesome. Yeah. Charlie, do you have any compare and contrast on the feminine TE there?
Yeah, I agree with Katie about what she said about being more with the feminine TE being kind of sliding into someone's kind of world and trying to be instead of pushing your worldview on them, trying to be open is way, I guess, the way of looking at it that way. And but as I've matured and as I've been trying to grow, just self growth, I've tried to counteract that by being more confident with what I believe in. And I don't know if it's the T becoming masculine or if it's my masculine FI running things. I don't know. I don't know which one.
It sounds like you're finding your masculine FI from my perspective.
So that's what it feels like to me. So I don't know if there's a way you make your feminine T masculine. I don't know how that happens. And I don't know if you've gone in depth on that type of growth, but that's what I feel like with it. But I still think the TE is still like, even like when our staff meetings, when we're trying to figure out something to do, I'm just kind of like, just get it done. I don't care how you do it. Just get it done. Here's what we want to do. How you do it doesn't bother. Just get to the end result. So
that's really good too. That it seems like some blast is tied into there. This is what we want to do and get it done. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's
absolutely
a bit of getting everyone on board and pushing everyone in a direction.
Yeah, like A to Z, but B, C, D, E. Doesn't really matter. Just however you want to get there, get there. But
what about what Katie was talking about the gathering with the tribe?
I resonate with that for sure. Yeah. And I used to think that was NE. Was what I thought that was.
I think there's some of that too, for sure.
Yeah. And I have masculine in E, so
it kicks in. I had one more thought there. I've noticed that it can be so easy to slip into other people's perspectives that then I feel trapped by it. And it's hard for me to assert, no, this is what I'm thinking and this is really me, because I already feel constrained by their version of what reality is. So I'd be interested to see like what the more masculine TE feels, if that's the same or different.
Yeah, it does sound like that's like it's a feminine TE where you've got your masculine FI sort of in conflict with what's going on there. Yeah, that's okay. So Kim, maybe you have some compare and contrast on the masculine side.
All right. What I notice the most about my masculine TE is, for me, I'm a very direct person. I will say the things that everybody else is thinking, but doesn't want to say, or B doesn't feel comfortable saying because of like not wanting to like either offend people or like throw off the vibe. So it's like I almost feel responsible to be like, because my blast is also double masculine and it's ST and it's first. So it's like, all right, these are the issues we need to solve. This is the exact order how we're going to solve them. And before we jump to B, we are going to make sure that everybody can understand and execute A. So it's very much responsible to make everything clear as possible for everybody. Making almost like breaking things down to like the least common denominator so that everybody can understand it.
That sounds like SI is tied in there too. It's like it's also the blast. It's like, hey, this is step A. Let's get it done. Yeah. Oh, really good. What about in terms of gathering from the tribe and knowing other people's perspectives and things like that? What Katie was saying?
Oh, I absolutely do that. But what I notice a little bit differently is sometimes I will almost assert whether something makes sense or not and not realize, okay, somebody is trying to voice how they're feeling here. I shouldn't be trying to apply logic in this situation, but I feel an obligation to be like, no, that doesn't really make sense. No, I value what you're saying, but I don't think this approach is logical, or I don't think like these reasons make sense, or like, where it's almost like I almost feel like it's a paralysis by analysis very much with me.
Right. And what about getting so overconsumed with what other people are thinking that you sort of lose yourself in the mix?
Yeah. It's like I'd very much compromise my own kind of values. And I wouldn't even realize how I'm feeling about a situation until weeks later, because I'll be so focused on what makes sense for this person, what makes sense for this person, what makes sense for this person, and very much shoving on this is what I feel like makes sense for you.
Yeah. Heather, do you have any thoughts on what everyone was saying until now?
Yeah, I think that the biggest challenge for me with masculine TE, I mean, just masculine energy in general is like just this, kind of freight train that runs through life, and it kind of takes life hitting me upside the head for me to kind of slow down. But a lot of that is just because I'm just extraordinarily passionate, which I always kind of think, oh, that's a feeling. And I realize, no, that's not a feeling. It's an intensity, it's an energy, but it's not necessarily a feeling. So sometimes I think that's what people are picking up on, thinking that I'm super confident or, when that's not always the case, I just can kind of come off like I'm very confident in what I'm doing. But really, TE, a lot of times what I fall into the trap of is I feel this constant need to fix things and to feel like I need to come up with solutions. And that I've learned to let go of over the past year or two, more so. But that's kind of where my TE jumps up, is like, oh, there's a problem. Let me figure out a solution. Let me fix this. And so that's like my gut reaction. And I'm having to learn to kind of to pull back on that. I don't know if the feminine TEs have as much of a gut reaction with that, but it's definitely this really strong writing reflex that comes out of trying to solve and fix things. And it doesn't always need that.
Amen to that.
It's hard for you to let the world fall apart around you.
Mhm.
Well, that's part of it, yes. But also the part of it is that then it means I'm not validating or acknowledging whatever the experience the person may be having in that moment, and not stepping into that. And I'm over here thinking, oh, this is a problem to be solved, which may be where people think we are things oriented. This is a problem to be solved when it's a person. And so, yeah, something I definitely had to learn.
Wow. And what about in terms of being consumed by their perspective and getting lost in other people's perspective and not seeing your own, things like that?
I think it's more that I don't trust myself, but I think that's probably because of the demon intuition, where I don't always trust. So like, I think I know, and I go, oh no, this is it. And then if other perspective comes up, I go, oh, wait a minute, maybe I completely misread this. I didn't see this right. So my, the feminine I will just buckle and think, oh my gosh, I'm wrong. I'm so sorry. So it's more that I struggle to trust that intuition, probably more than taking other people's perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Charlie and Katie, are you guys seeing a difference in the masculine?
The fix aspect, I would agree with fixing problems. At least in my own marriage, I've been married 17 years, and I'm just now learning that when my wife has a problem, I just need to listen and say, that sounds horrible.
Yes.
Because I want to just fix, and so I'm thinking about, well, how can I make this better for you?
Yeah.
And that's not always the case. And I don't know, that might be a man thing. I don't know, but it's definitely, I feel like a ESTJ, a TE thing. And so it's taken me a long time to it's very hard, because if she's venting about an issue, I'm just so bad. I want to be like, well, if you just do this or do that, it'll fix it. And it's so hard for me not to say that and just sit there and just say, that's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If I could bounce off of you, I'm seeing in myself, it's like, if there's a problem and someone's sad, I'm the one to blame. And what did I do? I'm sorry. Like, it's like, I can fix it, but it's me. I need to fix myself. So it's like,
wow.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think
but I still want to run to fix it the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely learned. I try really hard to spend a lot of time just listening and offering comfort or support, saying, yeah, I understand how that feels. But if the conversation doesn't at some point get around to where it feels like I can offer some advice, that's really, really hard. And I found that if the problem is they shot themselves in the foot and then they came to complain to me that life is hard, I just can't. I can't.
Oh, wow.
I will tell you that this was your fault. I
Which
tried,
is probably
but
not what they need to hear. Yeah.
That's the hardest to keep quiet on, for sure.
Yes.
You're like, well, you keep doing this every 3 months. And we see the pattern, I see the NE pattern very easily, in the SINE pattern. And then you're just like, oh,
yeah, no.
That's good.
Feel free to jump in here and
Right.
off of each other. Yeah.
I'm like, how do I tell them it's their fault without directly telling them it's their fault?
It gets to where you can predict what they're gonna do when they tell you. They're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
And it's just you can't help it.
So, do you find that the TE is really focused on other things than self? Like, it's very extroverted sort of thing?
Yeah, task oriented. I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
Solution oriented. I mean,
but like, it also sounds like you're oriented on people and how to solve their issues and things like that.
Oh yeah.
I say mine's very extroverted. Like, I can't speak for the rest of you, but I'd say my TE is very extroverted, where it's like it's almost like it's my kind of way of showing that I care about somebody is like, instead of just me telling you that I care about you and like feeling like I'm not doing anything, it's like, I'm going to physically fix the issues in your life to show that I care about you. But it's like, I'm putting in actual work or tools or doing something where it's like, I almost have to like bypass the feeling in order to be like, I'll do all this stuff for you and then I'll show I care about you, which is kind of backwards. And it's where I would shoot myself in the foot.
Are you sure you're not sleep first? Like that's really processed, Kim. That's really good.
Had enough conflicts in life to realize that.
Right. Awesome. Is anyone else relating to that sort of thing? Where it's like if you care about someone, you're going to do things for them. You're going to show them with actions.
No.
No.
I'll just tell you what to do, but I'm going to sit here at home.
It's a learned behavior for me, I think. And
I don't have enough play for that. Like,
oh yeah,
right.
Here it is. Yeah.
no, I'm going to sit here at home. And then on the other side of that they were talking about, I am at home, just me and my kids and my husband most of the time. So, I mean, yeah, my TE is very extrovertly focused, but I spend a lot of time kind of in my FI too and self-focused on what's comfortable and why I'm not happy and what would make me happy. And I do a lot of that too. But then I just find that I do need that extrovert with the TE, and I'll start like texting conversations with people because I got to have something. But I would prefer not to leave the house to do that. I'm very comfortable here.
Yeah, I definitely have, I think, a little bit more of a balance in that, just because you kind of track, what kind of resources or energy or whatever it is that I have. So I don't but I definitely think that I like doing for people. Like I just like helping, like just hand me the ball. I don't want to be the quarterback. Just hand me the ball. I'll go run and do whatever you need me to do. So I like helping in a very real sense in that way, where it's just physically, let me help you. I don't know that I necessarily want to get all into the drama or whatever it's going on, but definitely just helping in a solution kind of a way.
Yeah, really good. I'm wondering if you guys are aware of the blaster voids that are around you, and like you feel that urge and pull to just jump into the blaster void to fill it. Yeah, Charlie, you're nodding.
Yeah.
You have something?
Well, I think I know what you're talking about. You maybe explain a little bit more so I'm not off base, but I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Katie, did you feel a blaster void in? Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm feminine with the tribe, so I'm fine with whatever it is the tribe wants to do as long as it kind of makes sense. But ever since I was like in my early teens, I would notice I had friends who didn't want to say what they wanted to do. And so I would take that on. I would do my best to figure out what it is that they want to do that they're not telling me. And then I would champion, let's do this. And I would fill that blast void and get things moving.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else want to jump in?
Are you talking about just like in conversation? Are you talking? I mean, what are you talking about?
No, like just in life in general. If you see that things aren't moving, or like you just feel this instinctual pull to just direct the tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like incompetence for sure.
Okay, well, I would have said that, Charlie, but even when we were getting set up for this, I felt this like, well, should we do this? Should we do that? Maybe we should let's resolve this. We need to fix it, especially if there's other people that are getting impacted by it. It's like, why are we continuing to allow this to happen? Why don't we fix whatever the issue is and move forward? I don't understand sticking with something when we know there's an issue and not moving forward with it.
Right. So it's like it's like taking initiative to move people.
Well, I don't know if I guess it's people ultimately. Mainly is no one or who's going to step up. Like I don't want to step up, but if no one else is going to step up to solve whatever it is or direct or guide, then I will.
Right. So anyone else can jump in too. So like, does it feel like a void? Like no one is stepping up and then it's like, okay, I got to do this again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that a lot. Either it's like people aren't jumping in or something's not getting done efficiently, or if there's like a time constraint and people aren't respecting the time constraint, it's when I can get a little bit like, okay, you agreed to do this by this day. It's 2 days later and you still haven't done it. Why haven't you done it yet? Like, you're behind now.
Yeah. Okay. And so I'm looking over at my stereotype list here, and like the word bossy just sort of comes out. So it's like, well, but now at least we can see where the stereotype comes from a little bit. It's like you're seeing that things aren't moving, and it's an altruistic thing. It's like, hey, let's get things moving. It's for your own good, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Katrina had happened, I was helping out, and so it was in Austin at the time, and there was a bunch of city workers, and we were waiting there, and we were supposed to bring all these people in on the buses for Katrina, the hurricane that had hit, and everybody's standing around. I'm going, you guys realize we need to get this set up. These people are going to be here in such and such a time, and it's like I didn't want to do it. I wasn't a city worker. I was a volunteer. But then it was like, oh, well, why don't you go ahead and run it? And I'm like, okay, then I will. And so let's do this and this and this and this. But normally I don't want to. But if something, we have people, coming in that are not from Katrina. And I'm like, I want this to be the best that we can when people step in here, that they feel that they have their needs met, and it's a good setup for them. So that I will do, but it's not something I normally want to take on. If someone else is going to do it, I won't do it. Like, I'll totally step back. But if no one is going to do it, then I will step up. Did the rest of you guys do it?
One of the things I was hearing in your story there, Heather, was like you got the permission to do it, sort of thing.
Yes.
So like, is that something?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
No, go.
When she was saying that, I agree. I think we all feel like that everyone has an obligation that they're supposed to do, and they should attack it the way we do. And we're all responsible for like our job. So if a job is 8:30 to 4, we're going to get there 8:30. We're going to leave at 4. And they don't do it, and then we feel like, okay. Now with me, I'm more passive aggressive sometimes with it, and I get very annoyed. And I think my FI gets really irritated because I'm not going to necessarily like be punchy with it, but it'll build, and then I'll get really irritated because it's like I haven't dealt with it when I should have. But I do think we assume everybody will treat like our jobs or our professions or life the way we do, and when they don't, we're shocked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm not going to call up people who aren't doing what they should be doing.
Yeah.
I'm in a couple of positions of some leadership sometimes, and I'm fine directing in general, but when people start skimping on what they're supposed to do, it's very uncomfortable for me because I see it. I see the void. I feel like I should, but it's really hard for me to actually push back on the tribe and try to corral them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wonder if that plays into a little bit the Pharisees game too, where it's you maybe feel like the burden's going to be on other people if they don't pick up their burden, like they're holding the pack behind, they're not pulling their weight, sort of thing.
And if somebody actually is getting hurt, then we're like, we've dug down to my FI, and I can't abide that, and then that provides the extra punch to go in and try to make something happen.
Yeah, if it's for someone else, all for it. If it's for me, probably not.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, because like I'm always wondering how this masculine TE can or even feminine TE cannot develop tribe hate, and it's like it's because you're not doing it for yourself, first of all, and second of all, you're calling out the people that are sort of sticking out that everyone's ganging up against anyways. So like if they do come back and push back against you, the tribe is going to be like, no, like you're really not fair. Like we're siding with this person, they're right, sort of thing. I wonder if you notice that dynamic.
Yeah,
Who's
I
that?
think so.
Who's that
Yeah.
to?
Whoever.
Sorry. What's the rules?
Yeah. Rules are no rules. We're EPing this.
Love it.
So, Charlie, going off of your working the job, you come in at the right time, you leave at the right time. So I've had people who had trouble leaving after the time ends.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry about that. Do you guys identify with that?
Yup.
Yeah.
What was that big yup, Kim?
Yeah, because sometimes I can be very stubborn with like, all right, I know we're supposed to leave at 4, but this thing still isn't working yet. And I'm still like,
Wow.
it's almost like I have a very hard time putting on the brakes until I can make sure that like the physical thing will work for everybody.
Right. So it's so like, okay, so like there's there's like this strict schedule, and you guys aren't sticking to the schedule because really you're more responsible to make sure that you get the job done, and not necessarily the agreed upon SI or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a shame because I will totally leave when time is done. I did my job. It's a job.
You know, if it's something that I think I enjoy doing, I will go overtime on it. If I enjoy it, if it's work I enjoy, then I will continue to do it. But yeah, back when I had a job where like maybe because I enjoy what I do now, but I mean when I was working at a ham factory or something like that in college, I'm leaving at the time I get off. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's something where there's an expectation like at work, and I want it to look really good or be really good, I mean, I'll definitely put in the extra effort, but I'm going to, maybe come in a little bit later or take a longer break or something later. So I'm still going to take care of me, but yeah.
On the back end. So like on the front end, you're going to get what needs to be done and then take care of yourself on the back end sort of thing?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, that's really good. Can we start talking about your demon FIs a little bit? Yeah, I see that. That's so like, is feeling hard? Is emotions hard? Is it how do you get permission to express what you want, to tell people without reasons what you like, things like this?
So years ago, when I went through some premarital counseling and things like that with my wife, so when I had to express my feelings, I was given a word bank to find the words to use because I had no idea. And so now here I am a pastor too, by the way, right? And I don't do a whole lot of counseling, but I do some. A lot of times we refer people to counselors and things like that. But saying, that hurts my feelings or something like that something like, or that hurt me, or, I, even now I'm trying to express like, how I feel about it. I can't, having a hard time, 5 years ago, I don't think I'd ever express that ever anywhere.
Yeah. Charlie, do you feel like, maybe the lack of expressing that sort of gets people to feel like you don't have feelings, or you're feeling
absolutely.
even?
Absolutely. I've been told that, but part of it is because I don't really even know how I feel about it. Like, right. I mean, I feel it, but I don't know how I feel it. Yeah. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but so a word bank helps.
No, because I also have the demon feelings, and from my own life, I realize it's like, if I don't express how I feel, people don't know, and then people can't respect the feelings, right?
Absolutely. And that's something I've learned to do recently that has helped.
Right. Anyone else want to jump in on? Well, I guess you guys don't want to jump in because it's demon, Katie, I guess you're double activated there. Do you have anything?
I am. I feel like feelings have been a slow descent into madness since college. Like once I really started connecting with it, it's just slowly taken over my life. And I really hate it. I hate being emotional. It bothers me so much, but it's gotten to the point where I just am. And my husband is insistent that it's better this way because then it doesn't build up and I don't have big meltdowns later.
Oh yeah.
But it's swinging up and down all day, and I'm still in the I hate this phase.
Yeah, the cat energy, masculine feelings come out and build up.
Oh yeah. It started in college when I would read a book and I started to cry to the book. I wasn't a crier. I was like, what is this? And then with my first child, when I was pregnant, so I had all those extra hormones helping. And then I started crying to commercials and animal shows, and it's just been downhill from there.
Okay. And what about like your personal values to stand on? I mean, is it easy for you to go against, getting things to work in favor of your personal values? Did you have that conflict?
It partially depends on the setting. Like I said, I spend a lot of time at home. So here at home, it's not unusual for the feelings to win over. Like my masculine is centered around consume with the masculine NE and the masculine FI. And so if I feel like something is going to feel good to consume, eating or like changing the furniture in the house and let's try this and see how this feels. I do that. That wins out. But when I'm around other people, I tend to focus more on the TE and what's practical and what's best for the group, as long as nobody's getting hurt. And it's a lot harder there to express what I'm feeling. Like I'm still kind of working on the stage of like if a friend and I see a movie and they didn't like the movie and they're criticizing the movie, and I've gotten to the point where I can say, well, I liked it.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I can kind of own that, but it's still on small things like that.
And what about in terms of stacking your values? Are you aware of how you do that? How you stack values? How? I have no idea.
I wasn't really in the class for those ones. I haven't heard that term much yet, so I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, well, maybe someone else has something on that.
Yeah,
Heather, do you want to?
Yeah, I can jump in. It's interesting about the double masculine in EFI, because mine's double feminine in EFI consume. And really what I've realized is that, just feelings wise, is that I seem to have this whole fairy tale romanticized part of me that's very feeling, like most people would say I do emote. And it can be extraordinarily demanding in a way where it feels like I'm never quite satisfied, like I'm always missing something. And so like in relationships, especially early in my 20s and my 30s, a lot of my friendships, I would be idealistic about it and almost just be too demanding on the relationship. And I burn out a lot of friendships. And I had to realize, wait a minute, I'm putting too much expectation or too many demands on people, and to be able to step back and take care kind of me and do more sleep process. Yeah. And so that's what I noticed, at least with double feminine. I don't know if, because I wonder,
I wonder, Heather, if you can go in on that a little bit, and like, do you feel almost like your emotions are not your own, like other people are responsible for them sometimes? How you feel?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe so. And just, because so the way that I would word it back then is almost like I vicariously lived through other people to kind of carry me to wherever I needed to kind of go. And when I hit right about 30, that really collapsed for me. And so I had to, for the first time, I think the SIFI for me bridges the gap between the ST and the NF, because I toggle quite a bit between those two, especially with the energy coins in the middle. And so I had to learn how to do more of the sleep processing and kind of find it myself and build my own FI to strengthen my FI instead of, so that I feel okay and secure and fine. I don't need masculine TE. I can be strong and secure, to Katie's point of, I can say I don't like that or I don't want that. So I can do it in a mature adult way of saying this is what I want or don't want, without flipping and being completely immature and childish in it.
Wow. Yeah. Do you feel like that gives you more confidence too, once you've done that sort of process? Yeah.
Yes. The older I've gotten, the more confident I get, where I feel more at peace with myself and okay, so that I'm not demanding when I ask for things. I can ask without being so demanding and like it being this desperate consume. I don't know. Does anybody else relate to that?
No, I'm wondering too, just before we jump to someone else, I'm wondering too if it's like the demanding side is because it's on the back end. It's because you never asked for it first, and then at the back end you sort of have to be like, you're trampling over my feelings and make a stand over it. Yeah.
Yep.
So like once you start doing it a little bit on the front end, then you notice that people just respect the feelings and you don't have to be demanding with it, I guess.
Yes. And also to be able to be satisfied in and of myself, to not feel the need for other people or relationship to be that thing that's doing it for me, is because consume can be an empty bucket.
Yeah.
So how can I find that in myself and find that satisfaction without having to do that externally?
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like what like to fill up your FI, you were looking outwardly, where now you're looking inwardly.
Yes.
You're building up your FI, and now you're full.
Yes.
And you don't need that validation from everyone else.
It's just icing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Kim, we haven't heard from you for a while. Do you have anything on this?
I guess that like my FI is still incredibly unconscious to me. Like things will be stacking for weeks and I won't realize what I'm feeling until like 2 or 3 months later. Like I've always been like that. Like as a child, I would like, if someone were to ask me to talk about my emotions, I would like hide in the corner or like hide under my blanket, and I just like would not want to talk about it. Even still, I have a very, even with people that I love and care about, I still have a very hard time trying to figure out what I'm feeling about things, because like my body's natural defense mechanism is to just shut down completely when I'm feeling too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like that might be sleep last is like also too why, because it's the last place I go is to look inside for what I know about myself. Like okay, like the masculine sensory, it's like I know what was happening at certain times, but I won't know why I was feeling a certain way during those times because the emotions were movable and I wouldn't be looking as to where I was feeling.
So you don't know why you were feeling that way, but you know what you were feeling at the time?
I guess like it's weird. Like I can put myself in situations of like, okay, what would make sense to feel here? Like how could you picture somebody else feeling this way? Like it's
Right.
my FI is just, I don't know, it's just really dainty. And I still have that feeling where if people like, or sometimes I'd lie if someone were to ask me, like, what's your favorite song? I'd be like, I don't know, because it's like, well, I don't want to share that.
Right.
Like,
Because you
I
might be judged for it.
the maturity part of it.
Is it maybe because you might be judged for what you share, and then that would make you feel bad?
Like my music, because it's almost like I view music as a reflection of myself in a way. It's like, well, if they think that song's bad, then they must think like something about me is bad, even though I know it's not that personal. It just still feels that way because it's like I'm still trying to figure out that part of my life because like I'm in my early 20s, so it's like things feel a lot more intense than they probably would like 5-10 years from now.
Charlie, do you have anything on that?
I would relate with that with like your music taste being very personal. Especially when I was younger, I would be embarrassed to say I like a certain band or something or music. I can relate with that. But what Heather was saying about being the more aggressive with that build masculine and the feminine at the end, I would say that I'm more of an avoidant. And so I think I think it's because the double feminine. So I'm going to be, so I think that's where the difference is. Like I would avoid those situations that maybe she was pushy on. I would avoid them. And so I think that's the double feminine aspect there.
Yeah, fascinating. So do you feel like you maybe feel safe before you can share what you like or share your values, like allow people to see that side of you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Or anyway?
Just
Yeah,
I've got a
I
bad
think
glass
so.
here.
Yeah. I think so. One of the areas, even like I've been working on, like, and even my preaching and stuff, is to be more confident with where I say what this says, or leading the church in a certain direction. And that's where I really think IPs and EPs, especially when it comes to leadership, have the advantage because they are saying, here's where we're going. We're doing this, and they can't not say we're doing this because it's our identity. And so it's a savior for them. But when that FI is not a savior for you, you're much more with leadership. It's more like I want to be more accommodating than saying, hey, we're going this way, because I don't want to be on a train where no one's on it.
So just a little bit of pushback on that. I see leadership as not necessarily like telling people where to go, but it's
I agree.
more,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's like it's like serving the people, getting that, like that's why I feel like you need to be an EJ to be a proper leader, because you're a real servant to the people, and then that's what a real leader is a servant. So
Absolutely. I was thinking more of like the difference between leadership and like having a vision for something.
Right.
Like a vision is very FI or internal, and sometimes I've lacked vision because I'm not sure what exactly the people want, or I think I know what they want, but I'm not sure what they need. See what I'm saying? And that's where I think EJs we have the leadership tools, but I think if we tap into that FI is when it really works.
You have anything on that, Heather? You're nodding pretty.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I kind of envy, I think, sometimes other types that are able to kind of take what they believe or what they see and they just are able to kind of run with it, where I'm feel like if I do that, what if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
And there's this real fear that if I'm not right in this, I'm affecting all of these people. How dare I be selfish with anything, because I'm impacting all of these people. And what if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? I just doubt myself very quickly with it. So I'm not super confident in that. Yeah, you too, Katie?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's even complicated by how are we defining tribe, because maybe most of the tribe wants to go this way, but some of the tribe doesn't, and it's not that they're wrong. And then you're having to tell people which one you picked because of reasons, but maybe they don't care about your reasons. And so trying to lead when what people really respond well to is what you feel confident in and what you know and what you believe in, a leader who really connects with where they're going. And if we're just trying to take people where they think they need to go, then we can't really offer that.
It constantly feels like I have to justify myself all the time. Like I've been told that for years. It's like, why do you justifying this? And I never viewed it as a justification. I'm just like, oh, I'm just explaining myself. No, no, I feel like it's like I was absolutely peacocking during those moments. Like I absolutely felt like I had to justify pretty much everything and try to make everything have a reason, even for the things where it doesn't make sense to have a reason for.
Yeah. So I think the way I go at it differently as an IP is that I don't feel like I'm leading anyone. So I feel like I can just say what I think. Like, this is me. I'm not representing anybody. This is what I think.
Mhm.
And, you guys say what you think and do what you want. I'm doing what I want.
I've had some IPs on staff before. That's exactly how they are.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, but because I don't feel like I'm responsible, like me expressing what I want or doing what I don't want. I don't feel like I'm screwing over anybody else, but you guys seem to feel like you are. So I wonder where that's coming from.
It's idea of being responsible for them on some level.
So going into what you want is giving up responsibility for them, or
no,
not
we feel
being
responsible for people we lead or over.
Yeah.
And so,
And even if we're not over them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Any type of relationship or yeah.
It's like if I feel like I get what quote I want, I feel like somebody else is having to sacrifice then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems selfish. Yeah.
Can I bear that? It comes off like I feel like, oh my gosh, that's exactly. That's selfish.
Because I assume everybody else is an EJ.
Yeah.
So I know how I take on what they say they want to do, and I don't want to do that to them. And then when I'm around people who just don't care, they're going to do their own thing anyways. And it's kind of freeing because it's like, oh, they're not really paying attention to me.
Wow. Do you feel like you need to do a lot for other people before you have permission to do something for yourself? Yeah.
Yes.
Build up their credit.
Yeah.
And then don't drain it too often.
Yep.
That's exactly. Yeah, that's right. You can make a debit when you have enough credit in there, but if you don't have enough credit and make debits, you're gonna have problems. That's the way we feel. Yeah.
Which is why it's difficult too to because I feel like a burden if I want to put my quote feelings on someone or talk about something. It may feel good at that moment, but then afterwards, sometimes I feel like, whoa, maybe I put too much on them. Was I a burden?
I definitely relate to if I talk about my feelings to somebody, it's a burden just because I'm like, these feel so incredibly intense to me. Mm-hmm. I don't want somebody else to feel that emotionally intense as I do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I identify with that too. Interesting. So when you're doing so much for other people and then you finally ask for something from yourself, does that ever get denied? And then does that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. And does it feel like someone's like really hurting you at that point? Does it feel like you deserve this now that, yeah.
Yeah. And like, despite all the work, you're still not seen.
Right.
Right. Yeah. At times it almost feels like a slap in the face because it's like, really, I did all this for you and I can't even get this one thing.
That's exactly
one thing for me.
Yeah. It's so unhealthy, but yeah.
Exactly how it feels.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're getting really heavy here. Let's go to the tribe a little bit for questions.
It's doing the feeling. I'm so proud.
Good job, guys. How do you gather information?
Oh my gosh, that little dog's cute.
That's a better FI.
It's like a downward smile.
I saw that question. I have no idea what that means.
Oh,
How
I
do you gather information? What? It's too simple. It's like too simple. I can't.
Depends on the context, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder if you
Yeah.
can TE-any it out a little bit before we answer.
explain this. All right, because I got double activated.
Asking questions. I mean, I don't know, pinging off people.
Well, I think for us, it's all focused on TE, right? So it depends on what problem I'm trying to solve.
Right.
Yep.
So all of the information you're trying to gather must have some kind of purpose. It's never for the self.
Well, like I read books for my FI because they feel good, but I'm not reading them to gather information. They just feel
Right.
good.
Yeah, and low consume. We all have low consume, so we're not really necessarily trying to gather a bunch of information.
No, not really.
I will with other people ask me, like if they'll say, "Hey, what about this?" I feel, like, "Oh, let me go research that. Go look that up."
Mhm.
But I look
I'll
for
answer for you in
if
5
I'm
minutes.
having something going on with me, I'll go research and see, why does this hurt or why does that do whatever. I mean, I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so you're when you do go to gather information, it's not for self. It's not for your FI. It's for somebody else or for some task, for some purpose.
It could be. I mean,
For the most part, OP was for myself. I wanted to know how to think of who I was. And so I was in a lot of personality stuff for that. So, I mean, it can be, but usually it's for something else or there's a problem that I'm solving. And I do see the NI thing where I have a few places I tend to go that I feel comfortable with. And I tend to settle into those. But yeah, I'm willing to do what I have to.
Mhm. Yeah, I wonder, are you guys relating to each other? Like, you guys all seem to be pretty similar. Like, are you noticing differences between each other a little bit?
the main difference I noticed was, like, I think with the double masculine, double feminine, there's some things there that with the avoidance style and the pursuing style, I
Right.
think, and Heather knows more about that kind of stuff than probably I do, but you have those relationship dynamics. Heather's probably more of a pursuer in relationships. I'd be more of an avoidant, or depending, I guess, whatever combination of personalities you have. I think double feminine will probably have that naturally, but in terms of a lot of how these functions are working, I think there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Well, like we can't really differentiate too much between like feminine and masculine SI or feminine because it's either double feminine or double masculine here. But I'm wondering if you see something in your feminine SI, Charlie, that might be different.
Feminine SI, well, I mean, it's not there's this idea that things need to be organized and routine oriented, but I might not be able to tell you what those routines are. I might not be able to tell you how things are organized necessarily. And I'm horrible with, like, remembering what I did yesterday. I have no idea what I did yesterday.
Right.
I've moved on. I'm on to the next. I can tell you what I want to do tomorrow and tonight, but I really don't think about what I did yesterday or last week. Where did you go where did you go to dinner last Wednesday? I have no idea. And here's the thing: the schedule is probably the same thing, but I don't really know, and I don't think about what that is. And so there is a sense of organization and order, and not wanting chaos to come in. But it's not this idea of like remembering it all. If that makes sense. Katie, does that sound right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Memory is just a fog for the most part.
That's right.
Unless somebody's wrong.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Then I can remember.
It all comes back.
It does. But yeah, just in general, trying to, like, I don't know when vacations were. I don't know. Yeah, no, it's a total fog.
What about in terms of building up evidence for things? I'm wondering about the feminine SI. Do you guys build up evidence for things?
Like an argument or something?
Whatever it says to you, because I know that the double masculines might have something on that.
I mean, I feel like we all probably make pretty good lawyers. If we wanted to be. I think we could all be pretty good lawyers if we wanted to be. I don't think that'd be very hard to do at all.
Right.
I just have to write it down.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I do not do well like with no notes. I have to have notes, stuff like that. I mean, get up and speaking. I mean, I can, but I'll be all over the place. We'll be organized. I like to have I like it to be organized on some level. So,
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of odd with the Savior SI where I feel responsible that, yes, there has to be physical, actual proof for what I'm going to hold as being true. But then I don't remember that. What I remember is the concept that I took away from it. And then I would run like I'm religious, I believe in God, but several times in my teenage years, I would have to reprove to myself, but why do I believe that? What's the evidence? What's the proof? And because I would completely forget. And then eventually I just got to the point where it's like, I'm just going to have to take as faith that I have looked at this multiple times before. There must be evidence.
Oh, wow.
But I can't hold on to what were the specific facts and details.
Yeah, it's like trusting a past self that you were right. Yeah. So then if you were always insecure and doubting yourself, then you'd have to go and check yourself over and over again.
Oh, yeah. So, and then I'm married to my husband has got masculine TI and masculine SI. So now I tell him what I learned. And he can fill me in later if I need it.
Cool. Okay, Heather and Kim, do you guys see something different there on the masculine SI a little bit?
Yes.
Go for it.
She's super memory.
Right.
Good luck trying to tell me I do not remember something accurately. I describe my memory in the past as being very much like a file cabinet or like an organized library. Like I've almost described like, oh, I could tell you what vacation I was on when I was 9 years old. I could tell you where I was July of 2006. Like I could tell you some of those things. I could tell you my soccer season of 3rd grade. Like I can tell you like facts about like this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. Like it was really funny because I once had like a little spat with Gray because she misremembered when Christopher Columbus sailed, and I'm like, nah, there's a specific rhyme for it, and I didn't know her well enough, but I almost sent her 5 different links of being like, here's the facts, sweetie. This is what it is. Like, I know it's like my SI, it's more so intense where it involves other people. Like I could be messy with my own self. It's like, oh yeah, my room's a mess. It's kind of disorganized. I don't care. But it's not like it's serving the use of people. And too, it's like my memory is very intense because of the double activated gather in the middle, where I'm like gathering everything constantly, and it's like I'm double activated place. So it's like I'm going to this person and this person and this person and this person, and I'm going all over the place.
So and you're really using that SI then for your TE. It's like really in service of the TE.
Yeah. And it's like from all the NE sort of concepts that I gather, it's like, all right, which of these seems like the most realistic, the most accurate that I can really narrow in on and be like, I'm going to go all in on this one physical point, and I'm going to prove 1,001% why this one point is accurate.
Heather, do you have something more on the masculine SI there?
I mean, she definitely has a way better memory than I do, for sure. I mean, but I do remember, and I do when I, train or teach, I'm constantly pulling a million one facts out of my head where I've kind of dumped in as far as the sensory goes. But that's like for me, it's just more, it's a very strong guardrail. So I tend to have a lot of shoulds that come out, and I have to kind of fight against a little bit of that ST shouldness. And to be able to kind of relax and not have to have these tight structures that I kind of have to follow. So that's kind of how I experience, just similar to what Kim said as far as some of the memory stuff or evidence, but just a different thing to add in as far as
like a little bit of OCD should sort of thing.
Yeah, not necessarily OCD, but just not giving myself a break and just kind of the double masculine of this is the way I should be doing this. And I need to just stop being lazy and get up and do what you need to do. And, and tracking things and keeping certain things. I can be tough on myself in that.
And what about in terms of gathering evidence for patterns and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm paying attention. Trust me, I'm consuming, I'm absorbing, and but it gets kind of to what these guys had said is that if it comes to me, I'm probably not good with the evidence. But if it's other people or they kind of, I'll go, oh, really? And I'll just.
That's right.
Yeah. What, Charlie?
So that's right. Hey, Benjamin, I got to run here in a minute here.
Yeah.
People,
we're finishing up.
I got to get some people from school. They're going to be upset.
So let's just talk about. You guys have anything you want to promote at the moment? Charlie, you got your YouTube channel.
I got that. And that's a hobby that helps me kind of blast without any ramifications or any judgments. So for the most part,
Okay.
and I just do that. And then my 14-year-old son's into it, so when he asks me questions about it, I just give him one of my videos, which is nice because I can't always remember it all. But
Right.
anyway, but yeah, that's you can check that out, and that's just something on the side that I do when I have some time.
Awesome. Katie, Kim, you have something you want to promote? No.
Not at the moment.
Nope. And Heather, you have a coaching business or something you want to promote?
LiveBetterHealth.net, and I'm going to be I started a YouTube channel, so I'm going to be working a bit on making some short videos on health, specifically physical health and mental health, and how those two impact each other. So starting to work on that.
Really awesome. Okay, so send me the links afterwards, and I'll put them in the description. Well, awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming out and sharing and showing us your fragile little FI at the bottom. It really does exist. It's really there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. This is great, and it's been good to see that we're not the only crazy people in the world.
Yeah, and you guys are underrepresented, so it's great to have you guys and to give a little bit more light on you guys, even because you're always shining out somewhere else. So
that's awkward for us to hear.
yeah.
Keep the validation coming.
Don't give us a compliment, please.
Yeah, no, you can honestly, I'm glad that ESTJs exist. You guys really, it's awesome that you keep the wheels going, you keep society going, and I think you guys need a little bit of permission to do what you want sometimes. For sure.
Amen.
All right, have a good one, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.